Hello AOS fans, Robin here, back once more with a deck review for you. And this week I'm going to play the Godsworn Hunt. Yes, Rob, one of our lovely patrons, has painted the Godsworn Hunt up for us and they look amazing. So we're going to play with them this week. Hopefully I can do them justice. Now there's scant information about the Godsworn Hunt out there. They're kind of like the forgotten warband. Everybody loves Mollog or hates Mollog or loves to hate Mollog. Nobody brings them to tournaments. But the Godsworn Hunt are left behind. At the recent Adepticon Grand Clash, only one person out of however many there were took the Godsworn Hunt, and that was one of our patrons, Davey. So well done, Davey, for taking them, keeping the flag flying for the Godsworn Hunt. And I have borrowed from his experiences, which he does mention on his podcast, What the Hex, talked about how to play them. And the other place I've gone to for inspiration is Jamie Giblin and his Lunch Spire. He played the Godsworn Hunt, I think, for a while. I think he's even won glass with them, and he had a definite play style. They both had very definite play styles, and I think the play styles were not mutually exclusive, but they were different. Davies was more offensive, and Jamie's was more kind of run into the back half and score things like Oath of Conquest in the final phase. I've kind of hybridised the two, and hopefully I haven't screwed them up. I think it probably leans more towards Jamie's than towards Davies. I tend to like to play a more mobile game than combat-based game, so that's why I've probably tended towards that. So I talked about running into your opponent's half and trying to score over the conquest at the end. There is some offensive stuff going on, and I have kind of listened to both points of view and built this deck around it. One interesting thing, and I think it's worth bearing in mind, Jamie did say in his sort of précis of how to run them, is once they've charged, forget about them. They're dead. Just assume they're dead. And so that's kind of, again, I've kind of built around that. So nobody's really meant to be doing more than one thing. Depends who's playing what, but basically each guy has a utility, and hopefully they can do that utility and score more glory than they will give away by dying. They're very, very fragile, these guys, so nothing really centres around any particular one player. There are a few things you have to rely on certain individuals to carry out, but you'll see what that is. So for my objectives, I've gone for advancing strike. Basically, everything's going to be going on in the opponent's half, so it's going to be running forward, trying to take guys out. Depending on how I'm playing, unlikely to be in one go, but you never know. Advancing strike is always a possibility with these guys. I've got lots of attacks, and so we're going to hopefully score advancing strike. Change of tactics, stick guys on guard, charge with them again into the other half, hopefully. And the one advantage of being in the other person's half and sort of inviting the kill is that it all makes those conquests a little bit easier because you've got less people to get in there, maybe not. Concerted attack. I think this one was one of Davies' suggestions. Concerted attack is another score immediately if 3 or more friendly fighters make an attack action. It's the same enemy fighter. I mean, great if you're playing Mollog or one of the big guys, but actually it doesn't have to be a successful attack, it just has to make an attack. All I have to do really is sort of run with Jagrathra, miss with the spear, miss with Olo shooting, and then I had fun one other attack. So concerted attack, I think, is a valid card for these guys. Cover ground, they've got lots of mobile, we know we can score off the bat, and they've got lots of mobility, so you've got, some of them when they inspire go to movement 5, so you really need great speed on them. Cards like Flameway Crystal can score it, and Spectral Wings, that's why that's in there. Crushing Force, another score immediately. Crushing Force may seem like a slightly odd card to have. Score this immediately if a friendly fighter makes a successful attack. It deals at least twice as much damage as it needs to take their target out of action. Well, again, they're kind of quite good at doing attritional damage, so you might get somebody down to 1 wound quite relatively easily, and then you only have to do somebing with 2 damage if they have a few of them off to score Crushing Force. I think that was another of Davies' cards. Escalation, because this deck is obviously going to be all about trying to get out those upgrades, so Escalation is a good card to have. Oath of Conquest, the kind of linchpin of the deck, I suppose. Got to get that in the end. Something worth 3 glory, even if you declare it. It's not brilliant, it's not Oath of Supremacy, but it's potential 3 glory. Fired up, because inspiring these guys is fairly easy, and there's quite a lot of them, and the chances of them all being killed at the end of the phase are fairly slim. Keep Chopping. Now, Keep Chopping, I think, wasn't in Jamie's deck and is in Davies, and I have taken that. So maybe that I'm supporting Jamie's deck more than Davies is a bit of a lie. Maybe I'm kidding myself there, but Keep Chopping I think is a good card for these guys, but again, for reasons that Concerted Attack is, you've got lots of guys with high mobility, making attacks isn't that hard. You do have to do one in each activation. You can't sort of do ready for action and get through 2 in 1. You have to kind of achieve that, or like an economy almost of attacking. So it is kind of one every activation. There are ways around it. I might come on to that in a minute. Martyred, good card for these guys, likely to be charging in and not killing things, and therefore they're dying. Solid Gains. Now, Solid Gains, I think Jamie said he didn't have in his deck, but would put it in, and I have put it in. I think there's a good chance of scoring 3 glory in a round. Solid Gains is good. I didn't put in Victory After Victory. I know it's a popular card, but I haven't played it a lot. When I have played it, I've found that I get stuck. It gets stuck, and I don't want to get stuck with it. So I've gone for Solid Gains, which is a bit easier to score. Obviously, it is 1 less glory. And then finally, What Armour. I've got a couple of cleave options in this warband, so What Armour is a good choice. My Gambits, quite slimmed down compared with my Magic decks of late. Got Distraction in here for sort of distracting people, funny enough, getting people off those objectives. Duel of Wits to give some card economy. Fueled by Fury, so I'm trying to maximise the possibility of hitting. Hidden Paths, good for getting over the conquest towards the end. Last Chance, invaluable for these guys. Lethal Strike, double damage, so that could be really nifty if you get a critical hit, especially with some of the extra dice rolling cards I've got. Ready for Action, extra moves for over conquest, extra attacks if you might need them. Spectral Wings for scoring cover ground. Spoils of Battle, an essential card for the Godsworn to get in somebody inspired for free, basically. Inspired Command. Inspired Command puts people on guard, so this is to help me score a change of tactics without using up a valuable attack activation, which might be vital. I'm using Keep Chopping. And Haymaker, +2 dice I get for the attack action. Yes, it has a drawback, but if I'm assuming that they're going to be dead after the charge anyway, it makes that a drawback rather less. Great Speed for another alternative for cover ground. Great Strength for obvious reasons. Light Armour, again, you can roll extra attack dice. Again, it's maximising those possibilities for hitting. Shade Glass Axe, I think this is one of Davies. I put this in. Again, it potentially gives you a bit of range just to take somebody out, do some damage. Path to Glory. Path to Glory, possibly the best upgrade you can possibly get for these guys, and it's a pretty solid upgrade for any warband, +1 words and +1 dice, so that's why that's in there. Now, Point Blank Shot is my own invention. I've put in here. It is a restricted card, which is always a bit dangerous for these guys because they are so fragile. It's restricted to Olo. It basically enables him to, if anybody charges him or just moves next to him, you can have a point blank shot. Now, the reason I put this in is it creates an opportunity to do an attack in an activation that's not your own. That makes you one step closer to scoring Keep Chopping. That's a bit of a pointless reason maybe to include one card, but I quite liked it. It's not a bad card in itself anyway, especially if you get something like Glory Seeker on Olo. So possibly it's a mistake, but I put it in there to just aid with that economy of getting Keep Chopping. We'll see how that goes. Challenge Seeker. When this fighter makes an attack action against, they get with higher wounds, they get +1 dice, which is pretty useful. So most people have got characters with more wounds than the Godsworn Hunt. Fameway Crystal for teleporting shenanigans. Glory Seeker, again, +1 damage if you're attacking a big guy. Potion of Rage for multiplying those dice up. And Tome of Offerings. Now, Tome of Offerings is one of those things where you could put in a key maybe, but you might as well put in Tome of Offerings because it could score you multiple glory. Tome of Offerings at the right time, perhaps ready for action or something, could actually give you 1 extra glory just for the kill. So, you know, it's a good valid card. I think it's in most decks these days. So that's my deck. I'm quite pleased with it. I think they rely on their speed and their agility and their numbers, and the fact that none of them are that strong is almost their strength, because whatever's going on, if you lose a fighter, then the plan hasn't normally gone to pot, because the plan is, it has to be flexible. That's the greatest strength, is their flexibility. It will be interesting to see who Pete plays. It's going to make a big difference. If he plays one of the weaker warbands, then I think I've probably got an advantage. It's probably easier for me to kill some guys and still get my objectives off. So probably give me a bit of extra glory. I'll have to wait and see. So let me know what you think of that. How's your Godsworn Hunt deck going? Do let us know. And we'll see in the next game how this one goes too. Until then, bye!